Take it across straight to the Motilal Oswal conference where Nikunj Dalmia is in conversation with corporates. Nikunj.
So we started identifying these headwinds much before, and we took the step that we wanted to actually go into different parts of the globe and use the opportunities that they presented because of weaker economies and things like that as opportunities, and started to build up our plants and all that outside.
Mr. Bajaj, you are smiling every time I say slow down because your stock is at an all-time high. You were shaking your head when I'm saying what cycles? Your business is doing well.
Well, you see, the trick is not to look at your stock. Because if it was at an all-time high, in the last week in 2 days it went down 10% as well.
You track it closely, that means.
I always track it. All my money is in it. Not that I do anything with it. But answering your question, I think at a larger issue, and one that we all know, but a lot of us don't like to talk about, is that both our current government and our bureaucracy is not working. Now that's a big problem. And there are certain businesses that have also been part of the problem. The solution for us is to see, in the short term, what do we do for each of our businesses? But in the long term, I think we have a serious problem as a country. And as citizens, it's something that we need to really look at in a serious manner. As far as my own companies are concerned, luckily we are small. So we can choose to grow, but grow profitably. For example, in our lending business in Bajaj Finance, last year, around February, March itself, we started seeing that the external environment could deteriorate. And we tightened our credit policies, and we've still managed to grow 40-50% year on year. But that's because we are still small, so I must say that. What's important to me when I look at the current situation is you need to work with two time horizons. We always work with a 3 to 5 year time horizon and an immediate time horizon. Because you can plan for the long term, you make your larger investments more looking at the medium to long term. But you need to navigate day to day by what's happening around you. So it's balancing both these horizons that I think keeps us abreast and luckily allows us to grow in a profitable manner.
So give us an example. How are you taking care of the immediate short term, and how are you planning your long term?
For example, one of our main lines of business, again in Bajaj Finance, is the retail loans. And we've launched a close-ended plastic card. We have a co-branded credit card as well with one of the large banks. Now, when I look at it from a 3 to 5 year point of view, why shouldn't we have our own credit card? So we have a model that we are evaluating to see does this make sense or no. We don't have an answer yet. At the same time, if I were to look at June, I wouldn't say for which of our business lines, but for one of our business lines, we stopped doing new loans for the month in 7 cities because we saw some of our credit go beyond our quality metrics. And we put the sales guys into collection, and we started again from July. So this is an example of how you're doing two different things with two different time horizons.
We'll get into specifics, but Glenn, first tell us a bit about the environment for the pharma in general, and then in this adverse time, where are opportunities for you?
Well, I think the pharmaceutical industry, if you see the top 5 or 6 Indian companies, they consistently continue to do very well. And primarily because I think the dependence on India per se is very, very low. Most of the top 5, 6, 7 of us, less than 25 to 30% of our business actually comes out of India. So I think the industry has done a good job in diversifying the revenue base. The US is a major driving force for most of the leading Indian companies. And clearly with Obamacare and a lot of shift towards US generics, the opportunity seems pretty exciting. I think, so our industry, the next 3 to 5 years should be very exciting for the leading Indian players going forward.
Mr. Nagesh, how would you characterize the environment for Indian retail? Because I just noticed that you've got more gray hair. Is that age, is that wisdom, or business stress?
No, I think the photograph is an old photograph. Otherwise, there's no stress because if you look at India as a market, most of the parameters because of which modern retailing got in has not changed. Our area, total land area is not shrinking. Number of people are not coming down. Youngsters are growing. Aspirations are still growing. So I would say if you look at the 3 to 5 year cycle, and that's the minimum that you need to look for, especially brick and mortar retail, this is again one more blip. And if you look at the last blip that we saw in 2007-8, most of us who use that blip as an opportunity have seen some strong results coming up in 2010 and 12. So I see this more as an opportunity. If you ask me, the worry that I have is from the media. Okay, because what it is doing every day morning is every day morning really blowing up the situation for the consumer. So when I talk to a consumer, he's saying, I'm really having a ball. Last year I spent 7,000 rupees and bought 3 shirts. Because all of you are panicking, this year have gone on sale. So I spent 7,000 and bought 5 shirts. So honestly, the customer is really, really enjoying this whole, the situation that we have gotten in retail. And that's positive because that is getting introduced to modern retail. The other opportunity is modern retail is still about 5%. So there's still 95% of the market open for you to expand. So as long as you don't create a situation to trip on your own shoelace, to me modern retail can continue to grow at 20-25% year on year for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I don't see a problem.
So how long more do you think the blip could last? Another 2 years, another 3 years?
Very difficult for me to predict. I think people who are predicting are all sitting on that side of the room. But I can tell you that currently it is more because of the sentiments and the withdrawal symptoms which is getting created because of what's happening in terms of possibility of job losses. Yesterday we were talking of job losses. Today we say that ITNs have got better offers and everybody has got picked up. So I think it's a mixed reaction that we see in the media. But I would say 4 to 6 quarters for retail, at least from what we are seeing and hearing from our customers.
Vivek, that OEM suppliers are the deepest insiders of what's happening to the auto business. First, what is your understanding to what's happening to Indian autos, and then a word on global autos because you also serve them?
Well, I think a lot of people, when they tell me that the automotive business is not doing well and all that, so I've just sort of tried to visualize that he's going to walk to his office the next day because he's not going to use the car. I think there is a limit to what you can postpone to buy a car or a two-wheeler or whatever. So I believe that transportation is a very important part of life. So you could have some aberrations in a particular month, up and down. We don't worry too much about it. Normally we think that car business, you should be looking again to steal this thing from there, 3 to 5 years.
Okay, that is India Inc. at the ongoing Motilal Oswal Investor Conference, in conversation with our stocks editor Nikunj Dalmia, talking about the way things are panning out.